in the finals.
Yeah, I'm sure
Not a whole
he's
lot.
dying to talk to us.
Yeah, not a whole lot to talk about, I guess. So here we go. Jerry Thompson versus Brian Kibler. They've got the match starting up as we speak. Sidisi Whip against Green Black Aggro.
Yeah, two green black decks, but very different aims. Even though they both have den protectors and removal spells and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll get the pictures switched for you. This has got to be good for Jerry, right?
That's my assumption. In general, like Sidisi whip decks are just they do a good job preying upon decks that are just like kind of mid rangey, not super fast. Which green black aggro definitely falls into that category. Especially you've got look. I mean, Jerry's hand is like multiple wayfinders and Sidisis. You can just clog the board, and Kibler's hand here has some removal spells and thought seizes and whatnot. But Jerry's hand's very resistant to that. Though Herald of
Herald of
Torment,
Torment.
yeah, that is a big game. I mean, Herald of Torment's one of the ways I think Kibler is most likely to be able to steal games here.
Thoughtseize. What do you take here? A downfall?
Jerry has two of each, so I would imagine it's downfall, but because you want to set up either Herald Torment or Boonsader at some point.
The two-land draw, though, do you take a Wayfinder and try to mana screw him?
Yeah, but he's just gonna get to play the second Wayfinder. So
yeah,
my guess is that downfall is the pick there.
And it is. Now, I agree with you that the green decks seem like they get feasted on by Sidisi Whip, but does Deathmiss Raptor's Death Touch ability change that at all, do you think?
I don't think that changes nearly as much as Herald of Torment. I think Herald of Torment is a lot more relevant, just because you end up being able to fly over the walls of Wayfinders and Coursers. I mean, Deathmiss Raptor's not bad, certainly, but Jerry's pretty efficient at making zombies and Satyr Wayfinders to chump block with. Though Den Protector's not bad either. Den Protector does have a decent evasion, especially combined with like Boonsader.
Well, just drops it down on turn 3. Here we go, 3/3 flying.
And
right into the hero's downfall? Is that
yeah, but Kibler does have a Den Protector, so he could have played the morph, and then he didn't want that to get downfall. It looks like Jerry is going to downfall the Herald of Torment here. He might as well get the extra point in, though.
Clearly wait till they pay the upkeep. Yeah, it does seem like Brian is set up to Den Protector this back.
At this point, I would imagine Brian's play is like Den Protector morphed and Temple of Malady. He knows Jerry doesn't have another downfall, except he's got one unknown card only, so at this point, it's pretty safe to do that, and then you can get back the Herald of Torment. I mean, Den Protector is just a very powerful card. Jerry luckily finding an untapped Land of Satyr Wayfinder. That was really what he was playing for here, so he can play now Sylvan Caryatid and end up in a pretty good spot, I would say.
Yeah. Found a swamp.
So, Kibler's next turn, he can play the untapped land if he wants to Boonsader, but playing untapped land also actually lets him flip Den Protector and keep up Hero's Downfall. This actually doesn't look that bad for Kibler now that I think about it, because the untapped land means that you can flip up Den Protector, get back Herald. You can also Hero's Downfall Sidisi in response to the trigger, which means that Jerry won't get a zombie, even if he mills a creature. So, and you can attack even without flipping, because if you want to, Jerry's not going to block with Sylvan Caryatid here.
Yeah, Jerry knows what that is.
It could be a Deathmiss Raptor, but that could also get flipped here. So
right, either way.
Yeah. So it looks like Kibler is just not going to give the option of blocking, which does make sense. No reason to let anything chump. So my guess is he gets back Herald of Torment. That seems like the best way to win this game. Jerry has double Sidisi in hand, so you're not really expecting Thoughtseize to be amazing anyway, and then you just get to keep Hero's Downfall up here. So, and if Jerry doesn't do anything worth downfalling, you could also just play Boonsader. Imagine you want to wait for that. It looks like Kibler's going to build Voltron this game. It looks like it'll work too, unless Jerry draws a removal spell.
Yeah, those Heralds are actually the one change that Brian made to this deck. If you look at the article that he posted last week about what he was doing on the Pro Tour. This was the deck. This was the deck he almost audibled into at the Pro Tour, and so he posted the list that he would have played at the Pro Tour if he had audibled. The one change he made from what he posted last week on Star City was 2 Herald of Torment over the 2 Heir of the Wilds. So those were the only additions since the Pro Tour to this list.
So classic misinformation.
Post the list and then throw in the 2 crucial cards.
So Jerry playing Corsair here makes a lot of sense. First of all, he gets to try to play a land for free, which is nice. Second of all, if he misses, he can play Wayfinder. Now he can use Wayfinder's card selection. And I think it's kind of obvious that Kibler has a Hero's Downfall in his hand, just because he passed with 3 mana up and didn't play a tap land. Not that you know about it specifically, but just that is one of the cards you'd be on the lookout for. You really don't want to place the DC into Downfall if you can avoid it. It's possible Jerry doesn't want to play the Wayfinder here. He could want to draw Thoughtseize, and playing Wayfinder after Sidisi is nicer, but you know Kibler has a Herald of Torment, so you kind of want an answer to that. I think I would just play the Wayfinder here to try to have a better draw step than Thoughtseize.
Now, if you put Brian on Hero's Downfall, does that make Thoughtseize better?
I don't think it matters, no, because first of all, Brian's going to either downfall your Corsair end of turn or just untap and then tap out for a Herald. Either way, he's not downfalling Sidisi next turn.
Sure.
And again, you really do need an answer to that Den Protector. Your Imagine is it's going to come hit you for 6 next turn.
Well, there you go. How about Hero's Downfall? Does that count?
That definitely helps. The thing is, Bestow is a powerful ability. Jerry is going to be able to downfall the Herald of Tormented Den Protector, which does stop an attack because you can wait till Kibler attacks. But then you still have Kibler still has a Herald of Torment, which then can get a Boon Satyr, and the chain goes on.
All right, Kibler does downfall the Corsair like you predicted.
Looks like actually Kibler, because he doesn't have to worry about any blockers, is just going to go ahead and start with Boon Satyr, which also makes sense. The Jerry is going to be on 7 next turn, so he's going to be able to play Sidisi and have downfall up. Jerry could outrace Kibler here. It's actually not implausible that that happens.
It has kind of turned into kind of a crazy race here. Having 3 copies of Sidisi can't be good, though.
No, the third is quite bad. The first one is obviously the best. Second one was kind of useful because otherwise Jerry could have gotten it Thoughtseized when Kibler had the turn 1 or turn 2 Thoughtseized, but I think the third is just not good in any universe. So Kibler looks like he's going with the Herald.
He's going to bestow something. The question is, which card does he bestow onto his Den Protector?
I thought he clicked on Herald of Torment. Yeah, it looks like.
To the air.
Jerry draws Downfall. I mean, we kind of knew how this turn was going to play out. Jerry doesn't know anything about his top card. Missed on Sidisi.
Wow.
Which is kind of unfortunate. He really, I mean, this is going to be a close race, so he's going to have to.
It makes it a lot harder to race. Second Boon Satyr.
So Jerry could take the damage here. That seems ambitious, though. Downfall. Kibler just passing the turn here because Boon Satyr's flashy and all that.
Yeah, and I think that's why he went for the Herald previously rather than the Boon Satyr, so that he could surprise Jerry with this.
Yeah, the Jerry doesn't have a ton he can do one way or the other, though. Kibler can block and then Boon Satyr to make his Herald win the fight. Jerry doesn't care about that too much. He's just going to get to play CC. Ooh, Jerry did mill Soul of Innistrad. So if Jerry can mill a way to stop a flying 7-power creature, then he can just activate Soul end of turn, untap, and slam. Do you have a Den Protector? Because if he has Den Protector, he can Soul of Innistrad back Den Protector, morph, unmorph Den Protector, and play Hero's Downfall.
So. No Den Protector.
I also like that Jerry waited on the Temple. I'd much rather scry after milling with Sidisi. I don't care about setting up a land all that much, or a creature all that much. So it looks like not a whole lot of exciting stuff. It's not zero that you want to just play a second Sidisi post-combat here.
Well, we had to wait for Kibler to decide whether he wanted to block. He chose not to.
Yeah, I like this.
Makes sense.
Actually, it looks like Soul of Innistrad's being used. Looks like, I wonder if Jerry's going to play, like... It looks like he wants to play a Sylvan Character right now. Look, oh, he has a Sidisi Grand Vizier, so and a Merciless Executioner. So yeah, Jerry's got a lot of action. So he's gonna
Whoa.
use the soul, play a Sylvan Caryatid. Milling the soul of Innistrad was huge. I think Jerry's in pretty decent shape right now. He gets hit down to 1 by these Boon Satyrs, but 1 is not 0.
No, and Merciless Executioner? Yeah, Brian's got Boon Satyr plus Boon Satyr.
So he gets to hit Jerry down to 1. But, well, Jerry actually just has lethal in play if Brian does that. Jerry can just attack for 7, and then Brian gets killed by his own Herald of Torment on upkeep. So that actually doesn't even matter.
Crazy. So Jerry's got the game on the board, and he's holding Merciless Executioner plus 2 flavors of Sidisi.
Yeah, but basically, Kibler can't attack and just bestow. He has to like attack and then leave up a Boon Satyr to block.
Yep.
And Jerry just has Sidisi anyway to the Grand Vizier to go ahead and get like a removal spell. Go ahead and I mean presumably he's got like he could even just get like a Whip of Erebos and attack and gain a bunch of life.
Wow, 1 damage away. Now, if Brian had bestowed the Boon Satyr 3 turns ago instead of the Herald, would he have gotten through that 1 extra point of damage?
He would have dealt. He would have. I think that might have forced him to Boon Satyr earlier. Oh, so Jerry can now just attack back for lethal. Actually, not that Kibler was winning this game. Jerry had Murderous Cut, a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Jerry Thompson.
Yeah, I think Hero's Downfall might have been a fog for an additional turn, I guess, if Kibler had bestowed the other way. But it was pretty close either way. It might have changed how Jerry played. My assumption is that bestowing Boon Satyr first was slightly better, but I mean I have to look to see how much that would have changed Jerry's decisions either.
Yeah, it would have put Jerry in a position where he couldn't afford to just take that hit, right? He couldn't afford to just take 11 that turn. But he didn't have to take 11. He had other lines, I think, where he could have been pointing a removal spell at that. He could have played the Merciless Executioner. It seems like he, instead of the Caryatid, I think he had the mana for that. Interesting game. Yeah, let's look at the deck list these guys are playing.
Certainly.
Here is Brian Kibler's deck. Every flavor of Den Protector Deathmist Raptor deck. That's what Brian said he was going to be playing, both at the Pro Tour and here in the Standard Super League. This is the black version. If you go black as your other color, you get you get Death Dealer, you get Warden, you get Herald of Torment, you get Thoughtseize Downfall. I think is the biggest thing you get.
So Brian doesn't have any game breakers post board. He's got decent value cards, but he doesn't have. I mean, the standard environment doesn't really reward you for playing Graveyard Hate or anything like that. So Brian has no Disenchants and no Graveyard Hate. So, Jerry has kind of free reign to get Whip going.
Yeah, sideboard doesn't do anything here, does it? A couple of Duresses, I guess.
Well, I don't even know if you want Duresses. Jerry has a lot of creatures in his deck. You could play Hunt the Hunter. It kills Sidisi and Courser. That doesn't sound great either, though. Collected Company is decent against control, but not when your opponent's trying to set up a whip. So I think Kibler just wants to be a little faster. And then let's take a look at Jerry's deck here. I like Jerry's deck because it takes up more room on the page.
Lots of sweet one-outs.
Oh yeah, lots of sweet one-outs. Jerry may be proud here. He said he wasn't going to get there with all this sweet deck, but this definitely qualifies.
All right. Sideboard's pretty sweet too.
Yeah, he's got some Bile Blights, which is not bad. If he had like a Naturalize effect, I would expect it here. Like Reclamation Sage is actually decent against all the different bestow creatures, and then Merciless Executioner is good against someone trying to like build a battle cruiser, which looked like Kibler kind of was. Also, the fact that Kibler has 3 heroes down, or Jerry has 3 downfall, 3 murders cut is huge in this matchup.
All right, looks like these guys are just about ready for game 2. Owen Turnwald waits in the finals for the winner of this match, and Jerry Thompson is just 1 game away.
And if Kibler's keeping that hand, he's not in great shape.
It's 6 cards, or is there one off screen to the left?
Looks like a 6 card, 1 land hand. I wouldn't be surprised if he mulliganed, though Jerry looks like he mulliganed as well. Kibler might, Kibler's 5 card hand is somehow worse. It's like the same hand except just no,
There's a thought.
it's a swamp, and the other hand I thought sees too. I think
Wow.
Kipper goes to 4 here, but either way, he's not looking in great shape. And Jerry's 6 card hand is great.
Yeah.
Thoughtseize into Den Protector and Sylvan Caryatid, or rather, Thoughtseize into Sylvan Caryatid into Den Protector is a very good hand.
Right. Brian does go to 4.
His 4 card hand is the best yet, I think, because you get to scry and you have a Warden instead of a Thoughtseize, which I think I would prefer.
Sure.
If I'm Jerry, though, I'm just Thoughtseizing turn 1.
Oh, yeah.
There's really nothing better than Thoughtseizing an opponent who's rolled to 4. So here I'd imagine you take the Warden of the first tree, though. Yeah, you don't care about it a ton, but it's the only card Jerry can play right now, or Kibler can play right now. So
Right.
taking Warden buys you time to Den Protector or Thoughtseize one of the other cards as well. I could see taking Hero's Downfall, I guess, if you're really concerned that your Den Protector is going to get killed. But if Kibler has mana, you can just wait to play Den Protector until turn 4 with Caryatid, so until you have 5 mana. Oh, well, Sidisi just makes this like the perfect curve.
Yes. Yes, it does. Brian's draw's been fine, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Scry to set up a second land. He's got a Death Dealer.
Jerry drew Sidisi, then Whip after turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Caryatid, though. So this game is not lasting a whole lot longer.
Wow.
Attacking doesn't seem great here because the Death Dealer can pump, so just playing Whip Opulent Palace seems like a pretty good line, especially with the Sidisi Grand Vizier in your graveyard. Given that Jerry has backup Sidisi's, I guess you could attack. You can trade Sidisi for presumably a zombie token and a little bit of Kibler's time here. Well, Kibler's not using the mana in any way anyways. You could just play another Sidisi, actually.
Brian is, in fact, going to eat Sidisi with Death Dealer.
It looks like Jerry's just going to run out Sidisi's.
Yeah, more where that one came from. 3 zombies now. What a beating. Yeah, I don't know that this is the matchup Brian Kibler wants to run into with his mid-range green decks.
No, so far my predictions have been accurate. Oh, I'm 2 for 2. That not the most difficult task, but I do think this matchup is of the matchups we had left. This is the most lopsided. I mean, just a Sidisi Whip deck against a deck that has just a bunch of green creatures is generally really good for the Sidisi Whip deck.
Yep. Downfall hits the Sidisi before the whip can come down, but yeah, there's still 3 zombies.
Yeah, just
take 6. I'll gain 6.
Yeah, Jerry just cast Drain Life for 6, and next turn he can whip back basically any Sidisi or cast a Sidisi, or and he's got Den Protector and Death Mist Raptor. So Jerry kind of has it all. Like his draw is fantastic here in Kibler Mold to a good 4-card hand, but it's still a 4-card hand. I mean,
right.
A good 4-card hand is not good against like a great 6-card hand.
And that's exactly what Jerry had.
Though I think Jerry was ahead in this matchup, even if the Mulligans didn't turn out that way. The Mulligans just exacerbated the problem.
All true.
So I would imagine this is big Sidisi here.
Indeed.
If Jerry wants a spell that he can play right away, he can get Murder's Cut. I would love if he had a Treasure Cruise in his deck to go get it. That's really what I'm hoping for. But Murder's Cut still just forces the Rakshasa to regenerate and just smashes for 10.
Or you can get Murderous Cut and not bother tapping the Death Dealer.
Yeah, smash for 8 and have Murder's Cut up, which also seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jerry has lethal in play, presumably. I mean, basically, Kibler has to tap out for a creature here. It's going to be Surok. Jerry can go end of turn, Murder's Cut, untap, whip back any creature with 2 power, and that will end the game. Jerry's wasting no time here.
Yeah, Brian has seen enough. Jerry Thompson through to the finals. All right, that was kind of a beating. Now the
Oh yeah,
plan is to chat with Jerry. Let's get
sounds
Jerry
good.
in the interview booth. We will talk to Jerry, and then we'll let him go play Owen Turnwald. But yeah, matches are going pretty fast. Definitely want to get the chance to hear from Jerry, talk to him about his deck, talk to him about his take on the format. So how about we take a super quick break, and when we come back, we will have an interview with Jerry Thompson.
Sounds good.
Hey, Jerry,
Hey,
congratulations.
thank you.
That
Nope.
seemed kind of easy, that last match.
Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of cards in the second game, so that certainly made things a lot easier, but my draw was also probably one of the best draws I could also get, so.
I don't know if it was one of the best draws you could also get. I think it may have just been the best draw you could get.
I'm,
I
I'm
mean,
sure I'm sure I could cherry pick like one or two things better, but yeah, it was very good.
sure, sure. Yeah, you did draw lots of Sidisi's that match, though. The third Sidisi generally not really high on your list of things to draw.
No, not really, but as we saw, it's just like either I send it in there or they want to kill it, and then like the second one is usually pretty fine, and just getting the self mill into the soul in game one was pretty key too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, soul peeling three good ones would have been good if you didn't actually already have lethal, but it looked like
right,
it was
right.
going to
Well,
be
it
relevant.
just like from my point of view, it just locked it up.
Yeah.
Now, talk to us about the deck choice. I know that you were trying to come up with something sweet. It wasn't clear whether you thought you landed on something truly sweet, but I mean, what is your take on standard right now? Where does this deck fit in?
Well, I tried maybe 10 different decks and probably wrote down deck lists for like 20 other ones, and they all lost to like one thing or another, which is probably why they're not out there winning tournaments. So it was like Sunday, and we had to submit our deck list by Monday afternoon, and I was just like, do I really want to play something where I'm just going to get crushed? Like, probably not. So I tried to make something that was very solid against basically Esper, Mono Red, and, some sort of like Abzan deck. So, some sort of mid-range. And the more I thought about it, like the more like a whip deck just made sense, and Sidisi especially. So I didn't actually end up playing any games with this beforehand, but I crunched the numbers and went through sideboarding plans and stuff like that. So I feel like my deck is actually pretty well tuned, and it's pretty good against little creature decks. So
Okay. I mean, yeah, if you and good against Esper, that matchup is also good.
I think it's good-ish. It's like if you resolve a whip, then it's certainly good. But there's also a lot of staying power. Like Den Protector adds like a whole new angle of attack to the deck, which I really like.
Yeah, Den Protector seems like a powerful enough standard card that you're just going to see in a lot of different strategies. It's good by itself, and it combines well with other cards, which is generally the hallmark of a card that gets a lot of play.
Yeah, for sure, and it just like slots in so nicely into so many existing decks.
Yeah, and if you played the red for like the Atarka to try and make your deck even that much sweeter, I would say it worked. I am impressed.
Okay, good. I was worried that my deck might not be sweet enough for you. So I'm
Yeah,
glad.
yeah, no, you and Raptor really came to bat this week.
Well, no, not really, because the deck that I played is like very, very similar to the deck that Willie Adel played in the Pro Tour, and he had an Atarka as well. So it's not that sweet. It's not like I did anything. So it's basically Willie.
Yeah, but it's sweet nonetheless.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess things get less sweet after I see them for the first time. So
What do you think about your finals matchup here? Owen playing pretty close to a stock Abzan aggro deck. He's got Brimaz. He's got some other changes based on the metagame he thought, but it's still an Abzan aggro deck.
yeah, so his deck, like from what I saw in the stream, like very briefly, it looked very similar to Boswell's deck, and I know that the two big events that Boswell has top eighted recently, he's lost to Abzan Whip in top eight both times, which is pretty awkward since not a lot of people play that deck. So I think my deck is slightly worse against his deck than a normal Abzan deck. Plus, I mean, it's Owen, he's very, very good. So I would say that like I'm a slight dog, but I always thought that Boswell was like kind of favored against those decks too, but that has not been the case. So
Fair enough. Now, what do you have big events coming up? Are you on the road at all? Where can people look to see you play on upcoming weekends?
So I have an open this weekend in Portland. So that will be pretty exciting. My front runner is Esper, but like I didn't want to be, the dude with the target on my head in this field. I feel like I would have just got rolled over by all these little creature decks, so that worked out well. But this Sultai deck is definitely something I'm going to work on, and I'll see if maybe I'll play that too. But past that, there are some Grand Prix and some Star City Invitationals coming up in a month or two. So like Grand Prix Charlotte, I'll probably be there, both of the Invitationals, and I'm still looking at my schedule and trying to figure out what things I can go to.
Well, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be back.
Awesome. Well, good luck against Owen. We will let you go get ready for the finals.
All right, thank you.